Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat?
There are far worse assignments than getting to cover a game in New Orleans in the Superdome. It would be better, certainly, if we had a couple of winning football teams. I mean, let me just start. Obviously, there was a lot of expectation around the Raiders. You bring in Devontae Adams. I think we all know the story. And here out the chute, 2-4. What's the mood, the general mood around the franchise right now?
I think it's actually fairly positive considering what their record is. I know in the locker room they will tell you, hey, they're 3 or 4 plays away from being, 5-1, 4-2. I mean, there's a couple of games that came right down to the wire. They just weren't able to win. I think they believe they are a much better team than their record is. And they also have the schedule laid out in front of them. I mean, they had a really tough, first 4 games of the season. And then this is one of the games here as part of a 6-game stretch that they think are all very, very winnable. So, at the end of this 6-game stretch, if they've gone 3-3 or 2-4, then they're going to be, I think, a lot of miserable people in that locker room. But right now, they think everything is still laid out right in front of them.
When I look at the offense, third in the NFL in scoring, it doesn't look like, on a surface level anyway, that the offense has been the problem. How has the offense been so far this year?
It's been disconnected, I guess, a little bit is a fair thing to say. The last 3 games, their running game has absolutely come alive, and that has transformed what this team is. I mean, we saw it against Kansas City. This is a game that nobody thought the Raiders would be able to win. They went in there and, had a chance to win at the very end. They were up 17-0 and then had the ball with a chance to win on the last possession because the running game was so effective. Last week against the Texans, they absolutely just took over down the stretch. Josh Jacobs, 3 straight games over 140 yards. It's like a historic pace that he's on right now. The running game has absolutely changed a lot of what this team is, and it's a little bit surprising considering the fact that they have, Derek Carr, Devontae Adams, sometimes Darren Waller when he's playing, Hunter Renfrow sometimes when he's healthy this year. But they have all these weapons in the passing game, and the offensive line was such a question mark, except they have just allowed this offensive line to find confidence by running downhill and letting Josh Jacobs get behind them and put up a bunch of big numbers. So I'm not a big running game guy. I'm not a big, old school, run the ball, stop the run is the way to win guy, but it's been effective for them. And what it's really done is open up their play-action passing game. Last week, Derek Carr, 9 of 10 for like 150 yards on the play-action. It was very, very effective. And that's what happens when you get that running game going.
Yeah, and I want to ask about Josh Jacobs since you brought him up. I mean, he's found a resurgence, 3 straight 100-yard games. How? Why? How? Explain.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the underlying numbers will tell you Josh Jacobs was playing very, very well early in the season. They just weren't running the ball. And a lot of that is, I think Josh McDaniels wants to have Derek Carr and Devontae Adams find success, and they know what they have in terms of the weapons in the passing game. But Josh Jacobs was only getting a couple of carries a game, and a part of that also was the fact that they were falling behind in games. And they weren't, they're kind of abandoning the run. And the last couple of weeks, they've said, no matter game script, no matter what's happening, we're going to dedicate ourselves to running the ball. And they found something there. And another part of that, and you mentioned Josh Jacobs, he's been consistent. He's been good. When he's gotten the ball, he's been efficient with what he's doing. But the offensive line is finding confidence, and I think that's big. Like they're not a good group. I don't think on paper anybody will say this is like a dominant group of players, but they are much more comfortable run blocking than pass blocking, and I think that they've figured that part of it out, and they've allowed them to do that, and that's helped open things up. So Josh Jacobs, of course, playing for a contract. They didn't pick up his 5th-year option, and on the record, he will not say anything about that, but trust me, he knows he's playing for a contract, and we're seeing that come to life right now.
Adam Hill's with us, ESPN Las Vegas, also the Las Vegas Review-Journal, previewing the Raiders. Saints-Raiders noon Sunday in the Dome. Let's flip it over and talk a little bit about that Raiders defense. I mean, I can look at the scoring defense. I can look at a lot of the numbers. Where is the strength of that Raiders defense?
Well, the strength of the Raiders defense is 2 players, one who you'll see Sunday and one who you won't. Max Crosby is just a beast. The guy is unbelievable. He gets the quarterback at will, it seems. And then last week, I thought he really took another step forward where he has really evolved as a run defender. There's no question about that. When he was a rookie, he was awful in that area. Even though he was getting sacks, he could not be out there and running down. Now he's a 3-down player. He can stop the run. And then last week, they totally focused on taking him away. They were, sending 2-3 guys at him every single time. He couldn't get to the quarterback. So late in the game, 3 straight plays. There's a 3rd down and 1. He stops the ball carrier in the backfield. They go for it on 4th down. He kind of dances around, forces a false start. And then when they get the ball back to Texans, he backs down a pass on a 3rd down play. He's just finding other ways to get involved and to make an impact, even if you take him away from rushing the passer. So, I mean, that is where the strength of the defense is. And the other one is Nate Hobbs, who I will make the case is absolutely a top 10 corner in the league, maybe top 5. And because he wasn't drafted very high last year, nobody really knows about him, but he is elite at this point. He's on IR now. So that's a big loss. And we saw that developing last week. He missed last week's game, and they were really exploited in the secondary. Davis Mills throwing for 300 yards. So this is a defense that already wasn't very good statistically, and now you take away who I think is one of the most important players. They're going to struggle. It's a work in progress for sure to try to figure out how to fill in for Nate Hobbs. But Max Crosby still being out there, I think they're at least comfortable that they have a playmaker on the field. But there's a lot of work to do for this defense.
There's you mentioned Darren Waller a little bit ago, and there's a lot of Saints fans that remember the game out in Vegas a couple of years ago, that primetime game where Darren Waller was just unguardable. What is his status for Sunday?
He's talking to him yesterday. He seems pretty confident that he's going to play. I don't know what that means or what level, because he missed almost all of training camp with a hamstring injury. He came back. He was out there a little bit. He wasn't very effective because he didn't look comfortable. And then he hurts the other hamstring against Kansas City. He misses last week's game. Now he's out there practicing. He looked, for the portion we could watch yesterday, he looked okay, but I didn't think he looked full strength. And then after practice, he said, "Yeah, I'm good to go. I'm going to play this week." But I don't think it's going to be the same Darren Waller a lot of people remember.
Special teams, Carlson. People in these parts know Daniel Carlson from his time at Auburn.
Yeah.
Obviously, how's he been this year? Is if it comes down? I mean, the spread's 1.5. If it comes down to a kick, is the assumption? I mean, Carson's automatic.
Look, there's not a more automatic thing on this team to me than Daniel Carlson. I just wrote a feature about him a couple of weeks ago. Just kind of that. The weird start he had at the beginning of his career. I think, as you mentioned, a guy who had all kinds of records in the SEC, gets drafted by the Vikings, has 2 awful games to start his career and gets cut.
Yeah. And
he has turned into the best kicker outside of Justin Tucker, I believe, in the NFL. There's an outside chance. I don't think they're going to kick 5 field goals this week, but he's 5 away from the all-time NFL record for consecutive made field goals.
It's crazy. He's 13.
So,
he's 13 of 13. It's but oddly has missed a PAT.
He has, and he's missed a couple. He's never missed a field goal at Allegiant Stadium. This is the 3rd season there. He's never missed one. It's funny. I was looking back on the streak because I'm going to obviously have a story to do as soon as he sets this record. If he does, his last missed field goal was against the Giants. Actually, it was like a 23-yarder. It was very weird, but it was tough weather conditions in that life. But this guy is he's automatic, and their operation is very good. The long snapper has been there 5 years. The holder is somebody they're very comfortable with, and the punter, A.J. Cole, the Pro Bowler. So, Daniel Carlson is as close to automatic as it gets.
November 7th, a year ago, was the last miss, as you mentioned, there at MetLife against the Giants. Look, a couple of 2-win teams in this ball game. The Saints are in a horrendous division that you look and you go, okay, well, you're a win away from leading the division with a losing record. 2-4 for the Raiders, not exactly the same in that division with Kansas City. So it feels like they're all massive right now. But can you sort of punctuate how important this game is for Las Vegas to get in New Orleans on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, it's vital. There's no question about it. And this was, game before the season, I think you looked at it as a toss-up. I think you still look at it as a toss-up. but it became so much more important because, those are the kind of games you say, all right, maybe we win, maybe we don't. But because they struggled early in the season, they've made these all must win. As I mentioned, they get that 1-4 start, and then they have the 6 games. This is the second of those 6 games that everybody thinks, they need to go 5-1. Maybe 4-2 keeps you around, but 5-1 in this 6-game stretch is what the Raiders really kind of need to do. So every single one of these games is important. It's the first of 2 back-to-back games on the East Coast. I know New Orleans is not East Coast, but
Sure.
we kind of call it that with the early games. But New Orleans, and they're going to stay in Florida for a week and then play Jacksonville next week. They need to go 2-0 on this trip, and if they don't, they're going to really put themselves behind the 8 ball to try to make any kind of a rally to get where they want to get in the playoff contention. So it's a very, very important game for this team. Of course, everybody is saying, hey, nobody's looking ahead to any of these games, but they know these 6 games are all 6 games they need to win. So this is one of those steps, and if they don't get it, then the other games are kind of a little more irrelevant. So they're going to be very focused, and they need to win the game. And just like the Saints, kind of if they don't, they're putting themselves in really, really tough situations late in the season.
Hey, brother, you're coming over 2 time zones. You're coming east. Is what you're doing.
Yeah.
Adam Hill from ESPN Las Vegas and the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Enjoy the football and the food in the Big Easy, man. We appreciate a couple of minutes.
Can't wait. It'll be a great time.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.